All right, we'll call today's budget workshop meeting, Wednesday, August the 25th, 2021. Welcome everybody. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the commission. We intend to make this really a short meeting. Our practice has been that wrap-up is to talk about all of the changes that we made during our budget workshops, and mostly from the city commission side because we had a recommended budget. But a couple of them were requested while we're going through budget from staff. And so don't fret, because it's going to look different because you're not seeing what you saw before. This is just the net difference. But I promise you that the budget will look great when we're finished. So with that, if you will allow me, we can go to page 1. This little book's got all of the changes that were made during budget. Oh, you don't have a page 1.
Which one? Oh, well, that was going to make for a very fast meeting.
Yeah, real fast. Just go to page 10. Sorry about that. Okay, so on page 1, we're going to start with the general fund. And again, I'm going to go through every one of them rather quickly, but stop me anywhere you need to. And then when we're finished, if there's something that you feel we missed or that's something that's come up and you want to discuss it, we can certainly do it today. And then moving forward, we start putting the entire budget together. So first thing, this came from the city commission. You requested that we add what we're going to call a liaison at the development center that will be we'll be reporting to Michelle and overseeing all of the development process. We're calling that the liaison. On the next line is actually something new that came up at the last meeting right before we started budget, and that's the desire to do closed caption and in Spanish. So we are recommending that we add that 25.5. It was a bigger number. We worked it the last several weeks, and it's a cost of $25,500. We feel it's very worth it. On police equipment, that was just a capital outlay that we actually left out. That was my fault, and we're obviously recommending that we add it. And you heard from the chief when he was here that he and I had talked about that. The next item is a small number, is the equipment needed for the designer position. The management had recommended the designer position but didn't add the equipment necessary for that, and you agreed, so we added that. On rental and contractual and equipment for health and code were things that the city commission requested that we add. It's $25,000 and $32,000. You also requested asked that we add the request for furniture and landscaping at Quinta Mazatlan, $11,293, and then carpet installation for both Library, Lark, and Pondview. Those are also requests from the commission, $35,000 apiece. On agencies, you have it in 2 different places. You have it in General Fund and Development Corp. Again, this is the net difference. So with the changes that we made during budget, it's $159,000 increase. And when you get your total budget, you'll see all of the agencies and how they break up. And then the next one is Morris Park and Crockett. I want to take those together because that was actually at our last meeting. I reminded you that we had transferred $980,000 or so for the purchase of Crockett. Right. And that has since changed because it looks like MISD is not going to want to sell, which is a good thing for all of us. And what I asked at that time was that we split it, the 980, in half. Well, that's not splitting it in half, but I'll tell you why. Morris Park, in the master plan that we're putting together right now, is going to need a little bit more money. So that's what we came with, $740. But the good news is that we had Crockett budgeted in another location, and I'll show you. If you go to page 4. Page 4, you actually have right in the middle of the page. It's called Crockett Elementary Master Plan, $500,000. So you actually have 740 total. No, I'm sorry. No, that 240 is going to this fund, so you'll have 500 for Crockett and 740 for Morris.
I got a question on that. So the 500 that's listed here, you know, when I read master plan, to me that means a that you're planning to do something. You don't have. I mean, it's not going towards something yet. So it sounds a little confusing because
You're right.
500,000 to me
You're right.
sounds like you're doing something.
Yeah, it's not a plan. It's actual work that we're going to do that we're going to bring to you, obviously, because it hasn't been completed. We're going to do those renderings in house, and so it's actual dollars for actual construction. Okay. It's not for a plan. The next phase is actually something that we've already bid, and it's the skate park. The city commission approved, so that's part of it. And then the rest we're going to put together in house.
Okay.
And obviously,
so what does it include? I mean, I guess we just really haven't talked about it a whole lot, but we're
give us some ideas.
Park.
Give us some ideas, Denny.
The first initial plan was 3 soccer fields, a dog run, landscaping, skate park, and then irrigation.
Okay.
So yeah, the first initial drawings were rendered. Part of the first budget. Yeah. And so then with this additional,
we can go ahead and do the rest because we were going to do it kind of on an annual basis, and this allows us to accelerate it on.
Just trying to get a feel for what we're doing.
Sure, it's a great question. And on Morris Park also, we're actually going to put together an MOU with MISD that's going to include the rendering of what we're going to do, because every time we meet with the school board, it seems like we get a different idea of what to do. So we agreed we're going to put it in writing. Denny is working on that little master plan for Morris Park. We're going to include it as an MOU, and both bodies are going to agree and approve it. And that's the 740 that we're going to do there.
Will that conclude whatever project?
Yes, this will conclude our commitment to that project. Any questions on any of those? Okay, so the next page is the PEG fund. This is very, very simple. This $11,000 is the only additional spending that we're recommending, and that's to buy the equipment for the closed captioning. And we can spend it out of the PEG fund, which is very, very restrictive. Okay, so originally we were looking at between $60,000 and $80,000 total, and now we're looking at $11,000 of equipment and a $25,000 annual cost.
And that's probably like a third-party contractor or something.
Yeah. Okay. Any question on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on page 1 where you have the office communication spend fund closed caption, that's $25,500. But on page 2 where you talk about the PEG fund, is one subsumed under the other, or the two?
Yeah, no, the 11,000 is to buy the equipment.
Oh, I see.
And the 25,500 is an annual fee that we're going to pay Spectrum to do it.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. So then on page 3, again, you're going to have to trust us that the money's all there. What we added into this fund was the $4 million small business grant that I had not included originally. So it falls right here. And we're going to talk about all of the projects you talked about here in a minute, so that you know they're really there. So on the next page is the Infrastructure and Improvement Fund. And I'm going to add this caveat every time that we talk about this fund. And that is that we're expecting $41 million, but we can't spend it until we justify it, right? Until we make ourselves eligible for it. And so we had a lot of discussion about that. But I wanted you to know that we're going to be carrying this spreadsheet so that we memorialize what we said we were going to do. Doesn't mean you can't change it, but even though we've told you that we've only made ourselves eligible for about 24 million, here's the total 41 million. Okay? And we can go through them. It's alleys, animal intake study, Balboa lift station, that's for drainage, beautification of Bicentennial, Bethel Garden, small bucket truck, campgrounds. I'm glad I'm going through it because campgrounds, we added quite a bit of money. One is to do the improvements that we want to do, but also to buy the real estate to the north. And as soon as we finish this, we're going to try to engage that. And I'll just tell you to go to page 6 real quick, so I don't have to come back. In the middle of the page, it's got Kepler Campgrounds. So we took it out of the CIP. Remember, we had originally looked at $800,000. Took it out of there, putting it all over here. Okay. The Children's Museum, it's a $1 million contribution towards the IMAS Children's Museum. There's the Crockett Elementary improvements, $500,000. The electricity surcharge is $1 million. Sergio brought up a good point. We can continue to pay for it on a monthly basis with 0 interest, so we're going to do that. But I still like to put the slug of money there, and he can take it from there. That's the surcharge we had for the February freeze. The engineering drainage study is to study the north drainage issues and more on the south. The ERP, I actually have some good news. The $6.1 million is the total for the project. At least that's our estimate. Is Robert here? No. But that doesn't take into account what the McAllen PUB is going to pay. And so they're going to take about 1.3 to 1.4 million of that. So that'll be reduced. Okay, then we've got fire station number 8 that we're going to get the design started. The fire truck that goes to that station. We're also going to start the design of the firefighter training facility. They've never had one. Trails, Las Palmas Community Center Park, soccer fields and turf, $800,000.
Where is the firefighter training?
That's probably going to be next to where we have it now, over on La Lomita Road, off of 107.
That's a lot of investment there.
Yeah. Yeah, but they have no facility other than the old building.
I've seen it, but that's where we want to put it.
Yeah. It's a nice open area. We got a lot of acres out there.
So let me see the.
Okay.
Let me see the plan for it.
Development and infrastructure, real estate purchase. That's just put a slug of money for purchase of property.
Let me ask you about that. Is the full $5 million necessary, and how did we come up with that, and where are we looking to allocate that money?
All of those are to be determined, Commissioner, and you all came up with that number. So
I guess the only suggestion that I was having, and I think I made it before, was we need to think about where we're going to do this, how important it is, and if another project is more important, like maybe our future plans at Bowie or something to that effect. I mean, I guess at a later date we can transfer money out of this if necessary, but it's just allocating $5 million to like no certain plan. It's a little.
Sure.
So this is not contemplating the land purchase off Wallace Road for the compost facility?
No, we already made that purchase. This is in addition to that.
Just an addition
So I think go ahead, sir.
for the future, where it's pretty much to see. We don't know exactly. We're going to start making studies and check what is it that we need to start planning for the future, and it doesn't mean that we're going to do all $5 million. I mean, we'll do whatever,
or that it can be redirected.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I think we showed it as a priority by budgeting it, and then I think engage like Keith. Maybe we get a broker and we try to find strategic properties, right? Rather than just to wait to see what pops up.
Yeah, agreed. I think the answer is yes to all those questions. You can redirect it if the commission wants to. For sure, we're not going to spend any money out of here without bringing it to you. So
Yeah. It's going to be piecemealed anyway.
That could be a slug of money to use elsewhere.
But
Just
we
wanted to
also,
give it some thought.
but we also have a 2-year.
That's right. You
We have to spend it.
Yeah.
Let's spend
That's
it.
not
you
a
gotta
lot of
win that.
time.
That's
Not a whole lot of time.
No,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
No, it comes
If
by
it's
that
not going
fast.
to be for this, and we earmark it for something else, but we still have to spend it, or else we lose it.
It may be longer than that, Commissioner, but if the stimulus funds qualify under revenue replacement, we've met the requirements of that for the equipment system. So then your requirement, your windows open up. Explain your case project specifically related to other categories of the grant where you have to obligate like some of the depending on how much we're able to recover the revenue replacement, you may have a long period of time to spend that.
I just have a feeling they're spending the 24 million in a year.
So even the property on north of the Capital property where you want to do campgrounds, that's not even contemplated in that thing.
No, that's just separate.
Wow.
So that is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And we probably need to review this, you know, at least twice a year.
Yeah, at least.
You know, and see where we're at.
Maybe once a quarter. Quarterly.
Yeah, quarterly.
would be
Okay.
good.
All right. That's actually a good idea. Gives him time to accumulate some
Just
cash.
don't be burning any holes in any pockets, please.
Okay, then there is a desire for us to pursue more parkland south of the expressway. You budgeted 2.6 million. Splash ground, yes.
Was that 2.6? Wasn't it also split with general park improvements or something like that? Or is that a different fund?
Yeah, no, that's a different fund. That's actually that number was bigger, and Jenny reminded us that we've got money in park zones,
Okay.
and so we reduced it to 2.6. Okay, splash grounds at city parks. 2 Vector trucks.
And Roy,
Yes.
and Denny, it was pointed out to us that the splash park at De Leon has not worked for quite some time.
We've got it fixed, up and running, and should be doing it as a.
Since what?
This was going back 2 years. I know 2-3 years ago it was broken, so we ended up fixing it. Still got to make the station to shoot them up. So that make sure that was nothing cost.
Right. So it's being used every other week, is that what you're saying? Check on that.
Okay, street lights upgrade, $200,000. And we're gonna have a plug number on a yearly basis that's also in our budget. And then surveillance cameras for illegal dumping. And then the tennis center to be determined. We haven't determined the size.
Where
Yes,
are we
sir.
going to consider Quinta? Or
I'm sorry?
Quinta Mazatlan? From where? Are we
Yeah,
gonna-
so that budget, since it did not change, it's not here. But we've got, so far, we've got about $28 million identified as revenue to build it. And we've got about 7 million more to get to. So that the reason it's not here is because that number didn't change. We had $28 million in the original budget.
Okay, but just make it clear that it did not come from our revenues, it's $28 million that came from other sources, not the taxpayers' dollars. Those
Yes.
$28 million.
Right.
I mean,
For
it's being-
the
it's
vast
being
majority
viewed.
of it. We
Yeah.
did the
Yeah.
design.
Without a doubt, we
And
have
then
had
everything else.
some expenses, but it's very important that
Absolutely right. And
And
you know
with
what? We'll highlight that when we get to the budget in September. We'll show you that spreadsheet, and it's important that the community knows where it's coming from. Exactly. All right. Okay. On page 5 is the Development Corp. Again, this is only the changes. So we added Benson Road widening design from mile 3 to mile 5. That's the first one there. And we also added Taylor, but that's in another fund, and we'll get to it in a minute. Then Copa Amistad, that's a tournament that the chamber is pursuing, requesting $60,000. The city entryway signs, we removed them. We removed $200,000. We added the $1 million contribution to UTRGV Medical School. And then we added $162,000 for erosion control here at the golf course because we had budgeted 162. This adds another 162. Okay. Downtown refresh, $200,000, and there's more money in the fund. This is the additional, and then the adjustments to agencies that you did here a week ago or so. Any questions on those? That's Development Corporation. We're projecting. Copa Amistad is a tournament that we're trying to make happen here in the city of McAllen, and the lead is the Chamber of Commerce. Okay?
Wait, is this the soccer one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. And we're projecting a fund balance of $9.5 million at the end of the year, next fiscal year. Then the CIP on page 6. We're starting with the transfer in that I showed you early on the 740 for Morris. We eliminated the restroom facility for the training for fire because we're going to build the whole thing. 33rd Street extension, we added that during our workshops to do the design from Oxford to Auburn. Street lights, there's the plug number of 100,000, and again 200,000 from stimulus. The master drainage study, we took it out of here because we're funding it out of the stimulus money. The adaptive playground, that's just rolling over the money that we have this year, and we're hoping to be able to start moving some dirt in 21. Kapler, I already showed you that we increased that, and we eliminated from CIP because we're building it out of the stimulus money. The library chiller, we eliminated that because that's part of the HVAC project of $5 million, so we put them all together. Parking lot improvements, that's just for various parks, 31,000. Stadium parking, I talked to, and Michelle talked to Yvette. We're going to do it as part of our Cutler, and we'll use this 400,000 to do the parking lot at the stadium. West Side improvements, we talked about the second to the last budget meeting. We're estimating about $500,000 to really upgrade all of West Side Park. And then the golf course entrance design, we've got a number here, but we're still working on that final that we have to bring back to you. But we've got $434,000 budgeted for that. Morris Park, we already talked about. And then Taylor Road, here's the other project that we talked about, so we're getting it out of CIP. And this to do the design from mile 2 to mile 4.
2 to 4?
2 to 4
miles.
Yeah.
The design, right? This is
that's just
Taylor
design.
Road is like a $5 million project.
Taylor Road's like a $10 million
$10
project
million.
from the expressway to mile 2.
Yeah.
And it's been in the books now for a while.
We got to get started.
2022 is supposedly what we're going to do. We'll see where TxDOT is with that. But that's all budgeted. All of the money's there, and it should happen. So this is to start the design of Norfolk. Any questions on that page? Okay, on page 7, the only thing that we've got to change that you approved during budget was the increase in fees. So we're increasing green fees, membership fees, and driving range fees to come up with that $100,000 or so that we talked about. Okay, that's on the golf course. Any questions? Page 8 is airport. I'm glad Liz is here. So there was a lot of changes from the time we put the budget together to last week. She's actually advised we're getting more federal money. So she is already putting that to work on a lot of projects. Between federal grants and others, we're increasing $5.4 million of revenue. There on the right. And then we're actually eliminating the management fee. That was all coming to me. Liz feels that the FAA, moving forward is going to be concerned with the airport paying a management fee, so we're eliminating it. However, she is increasing, if you look 1, 2, 3 lines down, she's increasing the transfer to the general fund by $1 million. And that FAA is okay with, so we're definitely okay with it. Okay, any questions on that so that Liz can answer? 4.591 going to airport CIP. Okay, airport PFC, that's the charge that we charge at the airport to passengers. It's a passenger facility charge. She's increasing her estimate by $806,000. And you want to tell us real quick what the boarding bridge is? Why you need them?
Yes, our
1 minute.
bridges are as old as the remodeled part of the terminal, the one that was completed in the 90s. And so we are in dire need of replacing those. With the exception of one new one that we got at the time of expansion, those parts are outdated and obsolete. And so to repair them is extremely costly and expensive. So we're having to take advantage of the funding that we have to replace them.
Okay. And any other questions? Then the CIP fund at the airport, that's where she's plugging in a lot of projects with the additional money that she's receiving. GA master business plan, GA land acquisition, air unit, parallel runway study, runway and taxiway safety improvements, terminal amenity. You want to tell us what that means?
Sure. We're wanting to create down in the first floor area, once you get through security, a VIP lounge that the airlines can rent for us and that we can have some amenities for people.
Nice. That'll be only for commissioners, right? And for Medra? Okay. Then we're also going to study the terminal expansion. We'll be bringing that to you next fiscal year. And terminal tile roof replacement. And those are all of the changes that we recall. Anything that you all feel we talked about that we missed?
On the fire department, there was a request. I'm trying to just refresh my memory. You had the books. There was a request for a dispatcher, and then there was another item. But was that, do you recall, your recommendation? There was 2 items.
Right. They were requesting an additional dispatcher, and I think they can wait a year. The others were having to do with Station 8. It was a lieutenant, drivers, and all of the staffing that needs to move when we get the new station. So we definitely have a year before that happens. And if we have to do it in mid-year, we can do it in mid-year. Okay. Any other comment or question?
The budget for the Heritage Center, did we increase that? I think we were.
We gave them their full.
We gave it the full.
Yes.
80 or whatever.
The full request. I mean,
yeah.
I know we talked about it.
So it's 72, right? And that's what 80?
Yeah.
72. I think we took it back to 80.
Oh, you know why? Because it's in agencies. Yes, we did increase it. We increased both figures, the capital and the operating.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of hard to think about what we may have missed during our first.
It's all here.
3.
I promise you.
Yeah, I take notes.
It's all here. So there was a request for capital.
Still
90,000.
Of course, not a single track.
With a fine tooth comb. Sure.
Nothing else on topic?
I think I'm good.
We want to thank you for all of your time, and obviously these are a lot of changes, and that had to do with your engagement. So You were engaged.
We haven't missed something. We're always going to tell you.
Yeah, of course, of course. That's what the budget process is for.
We each get one free budget amendment.
Up to $1 million.
That's all we got, ladies and gentlemen.
Executive session?
That's too soon.
That was the first one.
No? Well, thank y'all very much. We're done.
Excellent.